I am fixing to move the trampoline. I gotta do some work. And I figured I might let you guys go ahead and hang out, watch birds. Got some chores to do outside. I haven't done this in a while where I came live during the day. So, I've had a lot of stuff going on lately. I've had some health issues. And I've had to slow down a lot of things. But I wanted to let y'all see the birdies. Hey, Blue. My sweet little Oompa Loompa. Blue is the chubbiest one of all, and I love her. Hey, Charlie. Charlie and Blue just having their sister moment, hanging out. Ain't they cute? The other one's like, hey, babies. I need to rake up some feathers over here. We molting. And apparently they like molting over there. Some of the chickens under the trampoline cleaning up after the geese. Chicken. It's spicy. Need to move the trampoline so that we keep it moving. So that each area of the yard can get a break on a regular basis. I meant to move it yesterday, but the kids had some friends over fishing and having some fun messing around in the pond. Even got the geese to go in a little bit. After I took off my shoes and went walking in the pond, which was, an experience. Hey, babies! Uh. All right. I've got so much to clean up here. Nice. Mm. Are you making another goose hole? Your voice is getting deeper, babies. Aren't they beautiful? Aren't they beautiful? And I already raked up all them feathers, and guess what they did? The chickens came over and started scratching and started spreading the feathers all over the place because I didn't pick them up right away, which is my fault. Anyway, I get some work done here. Gotta detach this piece right here. And because I'm working right now, 1 second, guys. Sorry, got a text message in. I'll have to reply in a minute. Anyways, my my little improvising over here is biting me in the butt now, because now I'm gonna have to undo it. Hey, nah, gonna be a pain. My daughter helped me do this, but after they yesterday were just in the pond and fishing and in the sun literally for like 8 hours straight, kids are tired and they're kind of being lazy today, and I don't blame them. I'm leaving them be. It's the weekend. Who cares? Sometimes, you just gotta let kids be kids and not worry about the chores. My daughter, now y'all don't get me wrong, she helps me every day. She still did her chores this morning. She still let out the birds, took care of them. Like, she still took care of her animals. She's cleaning her animals, all the things that she needs to do, she still takes care of. But there are extra chores that were like there's extra maintenance going on where because the chickens are hers and the geese, she has at least one goose that belongs to her, and we kind of just say the geese are mine, the chickens are hers, but there are certain animals that are, like belong to my son or belong to me or her or whatever. And the way I see it, sometimes there's extra chores. Usually they'd help me with it because I would tell them, be like, hey, we need to get this done for the animals. But sometimes you gotta let your kids just do and be kids, in my opinion at least. I mean, I ain't hurting nothing. Look at you all fluffy. Look at you guys all fluffy. Look at them, how pretty they are. And this is what your yard looks like, guys, when animals start molting. Look at all them feathers, guys. That's what happens. So I've got a lot of cleaning to do over here. Got a raking up to do. Get that all bagged up. It's worse than leaves. Hi, pretty bird. Here's our star. Not that loud one. That one. Yes, hi. You say hi to everybody. Hi. So the bobbing of the head is a hello. Hi, Johnny. Hi, George. Hi, Layla. Hi, babies. Hi, Sarah. Oh, no cuddles today? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. Go lay back. Hi, bird. Hi, bird. See, fun fact is that depending on how you raise them and how you cuddle with them will actually affect whether or not they like being like cuddled a certain way or petted a certain way. Pretty Bird actually prefers to have his neck pet in the front, hates to have the back of his head touched. He doesn't like it. And then he doesn't like it to be pet like this. He doesn't really like that either. Whereas my Canada's, the other ones that I raised up this year, they prefer to only have their back pet, not have their front of their neck pet. It's actually something they don't really like. They like this. This is okay whenever they feel like it. Like just the bottom of the chest where their crop is at right here. But they do not like their neck pet like Pretty Bird does. And Pretty Bird loves this. Like this is something he actually enjoys when I scratch his neck. Yes. Yes. Hi, Pooh Bird. I think he sees the benefit of it because he can't quite reach it. Hey, let's not be mean. Little bullies. Both of you. Hey, that's mean. Come on. Move it. Come on. Let's not corner her. Come on. No, let's not corner her. That's not nice. Come on. Leave her be. Let her go. Go on, Blue. No, don't be mean to Blue. That's not nice. See? It happens in the animal world too, guys. They got bullies. Here's the thing, though. Don't just think them are bullies for no reason. It's Squirt. It's our little cackling. Don't just think they're bullies for no reason. Y'all keep in mind, the ones that are being bullied right now by the young um, geese from this year. This is Charlie. But these ones right here are some of the goslings from this year. So these guys are still youngsters. Hey, BBs. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Hi, BBs. Yeah, Mama made you stop. It's not nice to bully. You hear me? It's not nice to bully. Y'all be nice. I know you guys gotta figure out your pecking order, but geez. Now watch what happens if I try to pet their neck. Watch. See that? They don't like it. Hi, babies. Nope, she don't want to be pet. Mm-mm-mm. Y'all are not in the mood today, are you? She doesn't really like being pet much. She loves hanging out. She usually likes being close by. She likes to nibble on me and all the other stuff. But she just doesn't like it if I pet her. That's just, they all, even though these are all hand raised and these are all raised the same way, um, they all have different preferences on how they like to interact with their human. and they all have individual personalities, you know? So if y'all raise up a goose, keep in mind, just because you see on the internet that somebody can handle their goose really easily and carry them around and, like, you know, has a really easy time interacting with them, and that goose is being super sweet with them, it doesn't mean that if you raise up a goose, it's going to end up that way. Now, I'm going to have to add my disclaimer, as I always do. These animals were not taken from the wild. I'm not a rehabber, and I am not a sanctuary. Okay? I'm a private owner of Canada geese. I have the proper documentation and licensing to keep them. Whatever you want to call it, whether you want to call it a permit, whether you want to call it a license, whether you want to call it documentation and technicality, to be very literal, it is basically a document that permits me to own each individual of my Canada geese. So, is it considered a permit? Some people say it's not a permit, okay? But here's the thing. It I'm permitted by, through this piece of paper to own these animals. So therefore, I see it as a permit, because it permits me to have something. Anyway, some people will really lose their mind about the terminologies, but basically, you get it if you legally acquire one of these animals. You get a document that you have to have. So I keep it in my safe, um, along with other documents that are really important, to basically, if a warden were to show up, which is wardens, in case anybody doesn't know or maybe isn't from the States, a warden is kind of like the animal police. It's somebody that enforces or reinforces or manages wildlife. They make sure people are not poaching, like illegally hunting and things like that. And hi, Dino. And y'all need to quit messing with that old chair. Hey, guys. Hey, Dino. See, some animals, when you raise them up, some geese will literally be so tame that you can handle them however you want. They completely trust you, and they're completely comfortable with it. This is the goose my daughter raised. This is Dino. And y'all can see I can literally hold that goose up with one hand, just like this. And she was raised with these 5 babies right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She was raised with the Canadas. Hey, leave that chair alone. I need to get rid of that thing. Come on, Mama. Let's go. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. Come on. You don't have to go that way. Anyways, like I said, the documentation basically just proves that you acquired them legally. And I have that documentation ready because if a warden were to show up, I would legally have to show that to them and have to prove to them that way that I did not take these animals from the wild. Because unless you are a rehabber or a sanctuary, okay, or unless you are literally just transporting the animal to one of the previously mentioned rehab or sanctuary, you cannot take a wild animal out of the wild. It is federally illegal in the U.S. to take a wild animal from the wild, and Canada geese are federally protected. So even though you might see some people have them or have one or two, don't just assume that they took them from the wild, because it is possible to legally purchase them from legal breeders. Okay, that is possible. That's how I got mine. Mine are legally purchased from a legal breeder who has the right federal permits and documentations. Sorry, to allow him to allow them, more than one, to breed them. But um, it's not. These are not wild animals. These are not the offspring. This isn't even the offspring from the animals who were like living at sanctuaries or anything like that. If the animal is wild, lives in the wild or whatever, um, darn it, there you go, and lives in the wild or whatever, and is um, cannot be rehabilitated for whatever reason, then that animal does not become a breeder. It doesn't become an asset to that person that keeps them. It is federally illegal to take an animal from the wild, regardless of the circumstances, to keep for yourself. Okay? Um, any wild animal. So, like, but keep in mind there's some common sense that goes with this. So, like, for an example, Layla over here, this golden goose that you see right here, she's called a domestic goose. Okay? And domestic geese are geese that generally, much like the comparison between a wolf and a dog, these guys would be like the wolf, like the animal that naturally exists in nature, authentic to however they either were, depending on your belief, created or evolved. And then you have the animal like Layla, which is an animal that over thousands of years of human intervention was bred and changed and adjusted into whatever was most ideal for the humans so that they could then benefit from the animal through eggs, meat, their offspring, their feathers, whatever the purpose was of them keeping the animal. So, she is a domestic animal. So, she is the equivalent of a dog or a cow or a sheep or something like that. And much like most animals, they have the wild counterparts, which one of them would be the Canada geese, which I own them, as you see, the ones with the black neck. Now, if you are at a local lake, right, and you see Canada geese, you are not allowed to interfere in their mating, their like, you cannot mess with their nests, you cannot take their eggs, you cannot take their goslings, and you cannot take them. That is a federal offense. Unless the animal is in dire need of rescue or help, and the only reason why you're taking them is to get them from A to B, to get them to help, to get them to a veterinarian, to get them to a wildlife rehabber, or to get them to a sanctuary or a wildlife rescue, or to get them to a local warden so that they can help them. So, like, that's the only level of interference you can do. And I always recommend people that if you see an animal that you believe might need help, but you're not 100% sure, and you just think it does, and it's kind of like there could be a possibility that you're wrong because you don't know this animal, you're not familiar with these kind of animals. I always recommend people to look up your local wardens, your local rehabbers, especially rehabbers. Look up your local rehabber, give them a call, send them a video, send them a picture, and be like, hey, not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure this, say for an example, gosling is abandoned. Or like, what can I do? Right? Should I try and catch it? Or like I caught it and I'm holding on to it. What should I do? Right? Um, and then they can give you information on whether or not this animal is abandoned or what's wrong with it or whether or not you should bring it in or whether or not you should leave it be. Right? And you're going to have a way bigger chance of not accidentally abducting or removing an animal or eggs or babies that shouldn't have been removed and that now are missing out on growing up with their parents because with good intentions, somebody made a mistake, which is actually much more common than you'd think it is. Um, and But if you are in, say, nature and you're at a local lake and you see an animal that is a domestic animal. So you recognize that this is, say, for some reason, say you know geese, right? And you look at these geese and you go, wait a minute, those are domestic geese, and say this domestic goose is hurt, right? It's basically the equivalent of you finding a stray dog, okay? Like, for you to take that animal home and care for it and even keep it and like, you know, let it live in your home and live out the rest of its life and like take care of it and give it a beautiful home is not illegal, okay? But you need to make sure that you're not mixing up what's what, because some animals you can go to prison for and get horrible fines for interfering or taking them home and keeping them, right? Other animals, like these two right here, it would make no difference. It would be completely fine if you took them home and gave them a home. You see what I'm saying? Like, so it's really important to make sure that you inform yourself on what you're doing because it makes a big difference, you know? Um, Another big misconception, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because mating season is just around the corner. And Canada geese are going to be all over the U.S. mating and having babies. So are other breeds of geese like snow geese and cacklings and Ross geese and Egyptian geese and even a lot of domestic goose breeds like um, African, Chinese, and um, what's it called? Other domestic geese that have been abandoned at some point. So most of the domestic geese that we see are generally geese that were abandoned by a human. So much like a dog or cat, people will get tired of the animal or not be capable of taking care of them or not want to take care of them, struggle to get rid of them for whatever reason. And then there's this weird misconception about geese or birds in general where people think that releasing them is completely acceptable. That for some reason, because it's a bird and because it has wings, it like, and because, or whatever the reasoning is behind it, whatever the logic is behind it, that for some reason this animal is completely fine to be released in the wild as long as it has water, right? Like as long as you let him go at like a pond or something. And that is a huge misconception, guys. Like if you put out a goose or a duck and you abandon them at a local pond, you might as well be abandoning a dog. They will starve. They don't know how to protect themselves from predators. Y'all got to remember, these domesticated animals, they rely on humans for protection, food, and clean water. When you're abandoning them, you remove all three of those. So now they don't have access to clean water, meaning that they're most likely struggling. They don't have access to proper food. They don't know how to properly forage, how to find food, how to deal with food, lack of food during winter and everything else, because we have changed. Not only have we psychologically, because you raised them on your farm or on your property with human help, have you changed their ability to understand because they weren't raised by their parents to know how to properly forage and such in the wild and how, but also through the breeding, these animals have been made completely dependable on humans for food. So they require help. They don't know how to find their own food and how to survive through the winter, and they don't have the right, like, instincts basically have been altered in that sense to like simplify it. And then the other thing is protection. They have no idea how to deal with predators, where to sleep at night to be safe. Their entire life, most of the time, they've been brought into a building, a coop, or some sort of enclosure that protects them from the predators that will hurt them, right? They've often grown up with livestock guardian dogs or other animals around that they don't see as a risk anymore because this animal's been protecting them and has never attacked them, right? So if you're going to go and abandon this animal, why would it see a random stray dog, a wolf, a coyote, a fox, or whatever as a predator when it comes up running towards them? They will get killed. They will become prey. They are prey. And regardless of how mean or ferocious you think geese are, they are prey animals. And they will get killed. And now combine those things. They're hungry, they're scared, in many cases, they're away from what they know to be their flock because they've been separated from the ones that they grew up with. Um, Even if they're with their flock, they're terrified. They don't know what to do. So, and a wild flock isn't just going to accept them in, guys. That's not how that works. Just because you're releasing them somewhere nearby some other geese or some other ducks, they're intruders. Those other geese and ducks aren't just going to be like, oh, yeah, sure, come join. Like, that's not how that works. So, they're most likely going to be bullied and attacked by the other ducks and or geese, depending on what animal it is. Um, they're going to be starving. They're going to be hunted, and in many cases, they're going to suffer a sad, lonely, painful death. And for whatever reason, people don't see it the same way when somebody abandons a goose or a duck as they see it when somebody abandons a dog in a neighborhood, right? Like they're like, oh, I'm abandoning the dog in the woods. It's okay. I'll be able to hunt and live like. Hey, what did I tell you guys about that? Excuse you. thing down because it won't stop anymore with it. For some reason, people seem to think that because it's a dog, I'm sorry, because it's a bird, it's not the same thing as a dog, right? So, no, you're not allowed to play with it. Quit it. I know you're chewing on it and stuff, but no. You're going to eat that crap, and you're going to cause yourself to get impacted. It's not nice. I know it's hot out, Mama. I know it's warm. Hi, what is it? What? I already fed you. I already fed you, and you literally have food all around you. You're a grazer. You goofy. Why? What do you want? What? What do we want? Hi, good girl. Hey, let's not be mean. Anyways, so that's another thing to take into consideration, that sadly, a lot of people do not realize that these animals are domesticated, and because they've been domesticated, they don't have that capability to survive in the wild. And we have a responsibility to care for them. When we accept that responsibility, when we accept them into our home on our property, we either must care for them or we must find them a new place to go, as in somewhere where we believe genuinely that they're going to be cared for. So, anyways, another big issue that happens around springtime during mating season is that people they don't understand that geese and ducks, when they make their nests, these animals only lay one egg either once a day or once every other day. And they don't start to sit on their eggs until they've accumulated a certain amount of eggs. Okay? So a lot of people think that when they find a nest with a few eggs in it, that that nest is abandoned, that these babies are orphaned, that something must have happened to the mother. This is not true, guys. This is not true. Can it happen? Sure it can happen. But most likely, what's really going on is that the eggs are there because Mama Duck or Mama Goose has not yet laid enough eggs to start incubating the eggs, to start the growing process. She's not going to incubate the eggs right away, each egg, like, say, a parrot would, because it's not logical for her. She has to move her babies around. They need to follow her around to make sure that they forage and so that they can eat. And for them to be able to eat, she has to move about, and to keep them safe, she needs to be able to take them to the water, right? And so when you take these things into consideration, if she's stuck on her nest for more than like 2 or 3 days to let the babies finish hatching, right? Several of her babies are going to start starving. They're going to need water, they're going to need food, and she can't just leave her eggs for hours, right? When they're developing. So she needs to make sure that all of her babies are hatching within the same 48 to 72 hours. So as that's going on, the mom lays an egg. Most of the time, she'll try to kind of hide the egg a little bit. So, like, let's say that's the nest, right? Let's say this is the egg. A lot of time, or these are the eggs, right? A couple of eggs there, right? And a lot of times what Mama will do is she'll take things from the surrounding area and she'll kind of try to cover them, okay? Like, she'll try to kind of cover them. You'll likely see some feathers around. Everybody's probably thinking I'm building a nest. But she'll kind of start seeing that you're covering. Like, see how curious they are? They come running over. They want to know what I'm doing. Anyways, this is often kind of how you find them, right? Like they seem to be somewhat covered, right? Now, there doesn't seem to be a lot of feathers, but there's a few feathers, okay? And that's often how you find a nest with like a few eggs in it. Now, the mama duck is doing that, or the mama goose is doing that to protect the eggs from predators finding them, to try and kind of make them blend in, right? And to protect them as she keeps laying eggs. She'll keep coming back to that spot every day and she'll lay another egg every day or every other day, right? Until she's reached a certain number. This is actually the big reason why, for an example, chicken eggs can be left on a countertop in regular room temperature for up to 2 weeks as long as you don't wash them. Because eggs have a protective layer on the outside. It's an invisible layer. It's called the bloom. And that bloom protects the eggs from bacteria and such and keeps the eggs good for up to 2 weeks on the countertop, which in the animal world, the reason for it being is so that mom can collect eggs for the day that she will start incubating without those eggs going bad, right? So as she is collecting those eggs, she will go away from the eggs as to not bring any attention to the nest. She's not going to hang out around the nest. She's going to leave that nest all by itself, and it can really give the impression that it's abandoned, when in all reality, she's simply still busy laying eggs, and she has yet to lay enough eggs to start incubating them. Once she gets ready to start incubating them, a big, most important thing for her is going to be to keep those eggs warm and to keep them at certain temperatures for a certain amount of time, right? So depending on what kind of animal it is or what kind of bird it is, whether it's a duck, what duck species it is, whether it's a goose or what goose species it is, different sizes, different breeds, different species, all have the possibility of having different numbers when it comes to how long an egg needs to be incubated, though the temperature is generally the same. Like it's the same range of temperature that they incubate their eggs at. So they will, oh yeah, Squirt, you're definitely molting. Molting meaning they're losing their old feathers and they're growing new feathers, which is why I have so many feathers and it looks like somebody's been murdered in my yard. But basically, one of the things they will do is once they're ready to start incubating, they will sit on their eggs, actually pluck out their own down. They will actually free up their stomach area. So this area here, this area, and then further back down here, they will actually free up some of that down that's in there. Look how thick her feathers are. Like, she's got very thick down in there. And they will free up that area and actually pluck their own down out. And their down are the feathers that are like this. They have that nice fluffy part that's a lot like baby birds' feathers. And they will pluck a lot of this out. They will use this to, so I can't even find where I put the, there you are. And they will use this and they will shove these feathers in all around the eggs when they're incubated. This would be a down feather as well. See how nice and fluffy that is? So they will shove it in there right around the eggs and all over their nest. Like their nest will have a whole bunch of down feathers all over it. And what they're doing is, one, they're opening up and kind of making it easier for the eggs to touch their skin and get closer to their skin to make it easier for the eggs to warm up to the temperature they need to be able to sustain life and for life to develop, right? Because it has to be at a certain temperature. Usually that temperature is around 99.5-ish, or in Celsius, it's like 37.5, I think. But once that is achieved, also the down will help insulate the nest and help keep the eggs warm as she's sitting there incubating them, and basically assist her to help warm the eggs. It will also insulate the eggs, and this is where people again make another mistake, where they think that the eggs have been abandoned. The mama goose and mama duck or chicken or whatever animal, they still have to eat and drink. Okay, they still need to drink water and they still need to eat food, and they're not going to do a lot of that. They're literally only going to drink and eat enough to sustain their own life, meaning that the mother will virtually starve herself for, in a goose's case, 30 plus days, sometimes up to 35 or 36 days. She will starve herself, only leaving. Beautiful, honey. That was a gorgeous crow. Absolutely beautiful. One more? One more? Cock-a-doodle-doo! Come on, buddy. Beautiful. Absolutely on point. You are a pro at that. Anyways, One second, guys. Sorry about that. Anyway, so once she's incubating those eggs, right, and she has to go eat and drink, usually what will happen is once a day, and I'm going to specifically refer to geese right now, once a day, these are animals who eat all day consistently. Like they're constantly eating to sustain their health, their weight, and to, you know, stay alive and stay healthy as much as they can, right? They're constantly eating. Same thing with chickens. They're constantly foraging. It's something they do, right? So once a day, a mama goose will get off of her nest for usually an average 10 to 20 minutes. This can be longer, okay? It can also be shorter, but she'll leave her nest for 10 to 20 minutes. When she does so, she will again try to thoroughly hide her eggs, okay? She will then walk away from her nest, leaving it behind, leaving it unsupervised, all right? And she will go to the nearest water and food access that she has, and she will eat and drink as much as she can within that short period of time. She will also eliminate herself, like eliminate as in like go to the bathroom while she's there. Honey, don't do it. Come on, dude. Don't threaten me, dude. Let's not start with the attitude, buddy. You have a beautiful crow. It's absolutely just breathtakingly amazing. So, so amazing, dude. I'm very, very impressed. Thank you very much. Anyways, so while she's eating and drinking, her nest will be unsupervised, okay? She will try to cover her eggs, and while she covers her eggs, she will use the down and squeeze it all between the eggs and all over the eggs and all around the eggs. And this will actually help insulate the eggs and try and keep them warm longer so that even though they will cool down while she's gone and not sitting on them, that cover strategically is done in such a way that it actually sustains the heat of the eggs for much longer than it would otherwise if she left them uncovered. Once she gets back to her eggs, she'll actually be wet. And again, we're talking about geese because she likely has taken a quick bath and just dipped in the water a couple of times, and she'll sit back down on her eggs. And this will actually help the humidity level of the eggs, which is also another factor that's really important. That's why when you incubate duck or goose eggs, you want to spritz them with water or up the humidity once a day in your incubator to create the most ideal scenario, because that is how mama would do it in nature. At that point, again, for about 10 to 20, sometimes longer, I'd say up to an hour even, you know, Mama might be gone. She's eating, drinking. She'll be back. The eggs are not going to die during that time frame while she's gone. I mean, there's been many occasions where people have been incubating eggs in an incubator. They've lost electricity for 5 hours. Electricity comes back on, and the eggs still developed just fine, and the babies ended up hatching out healthy. And this is for chicken, ducks, geese, whatever. It can happen, okay? Mama goose could be facing a predator, having to run away, having to fly away, having to, you know, something might have stopped her, interrupted her way back. Something could have happened that delayed her. Okay. So, usually, what I tell people is that if you see eggs that appear to be by themselves, that appear to be abandoned, don't just grab them. Take some time, wait for a little while, because chances are mama is going to come back. Okay. Now, she'll likely get off of her nest around the same time every day. They usually do. They're pretty big on rhythm and pattern and stuff like that. And she will continue to religiously sit on her eggs. She will come back. And the thing is with goose eggs, if you find goose eggs and you steal her eggs, did y'all know geese will actually mourn the loss of their eggs? They mourn the loss of their goslings. It's not, this is so much work for them. Okay, this is so exhausting for them to lay all the eggs and do everything, and everything they're sacrificing to have those babies. These animals do actually emotionally attach to their eggs, to the developing fetus. So they actually will mourn the loss of their nest, just as they will mourn the loss of their mate, and as they will mourn the loss of a flock mate, like a flock member or a gosling. And this is something that they've discovered, that like biologists, scientists have discovered, that they actually mourn more than just their mates. They mourn other things as well. Sorry, this is so frustrating. I'm trying to get this thing out. I need to change which hook I'm using because this is like a pain in the butt. Anyways, um, so this would be again another situation where people will think the eggs are abandoned, but in all reality, mom just left to go and eat something and drink something, and then she returns to find her nest has been ransacked and that her eggs are gone. And then she'll sit there and she'll mourn her eggs, and for a period of time, because she will have lost something that she's been working on really hard, and it does affect them. So, um, so I recommend that if you do find a nest and you believe that it's been abandoned, that instead of taking action right away and just taking the eggs or whatever, first of all, wait. If it's been a good hour and you still don't see any activity, and by the way, get away from the nest, because if you're standing right next to the nest, mama ain't going to come over there and show you where the nest is. You're basically a predator. She's not going to come over there and point out where her nest is while she's sitting on her nest vulnerable. Okay? Like, she's not going to do that. So, best thing to do is to get your distance, walk away, be far enough away so that Mama Goose will feel more comfortable to return to her nest, or to just go away and come back an hour later or 2 hours later and come check on the eggs. If there still isn't any mama, okay, I would recommend that you contact a rehabber. If this is at evening time, one of the things you can do is you can take out your phone, you can turn on the flashlight, okay, and with dry hands that are clean, okay, you can try to pick up the egg and candle it. Now, candling it means that you will go towards not the more narrow end, but the more rounder end of the egg. You will hold the light against the egg, like really close. And because the light shines inside, you'll actually be most likely able to see the fetus. This is another way that you can figure out whether or not mom has started incubating the eggs or not. If the egg inside doesn't really look like anything, like it pretty much is mostly just clear, and you might be able to tell a darker circle, and that darker circle most likely is just the egg yolk. Okay, if it's like yellowish or whatever, the other area looks kind of clear or whatever, those eggs likely have not yet started to be incubated, or mama has barely started to incubate, okay? Meaning that life has not yet started to grow. But if you see veins, a small fetus, and you'll see it. Like, trust me, y'all. Just look it up, Google it. You can, like, candling goose eggs or candling chicken eggs. Y'all can watch videos on YouTube. Google it on Google. Like, there are photos, videos of it. I've done photos, videos myself that are on the internet of candling eggs. So when you candle them, you can tell whether or not there's a fetus in there. And if there's a fetus in there, you can also tell approximately how far it's developed. So if it's really small or whatever, and it's just a little shadow or a small part of the egg is shadowed, or you can see a lot in the egg, like a lot of it illuminates, likelihood is this is a partially developed fetus. It is not yet very far developed, probably just a few days or a few weeks old. Um, but if literally the entire egg is like super dark, right? And you can like basically not see anything other than one end, like one side, like on the large end of the egg, like the rounder end of the egg, there's an air bubble in there. That area will always illuminate, okay? So unless the baby actually breaks into the air bubble and gets stuck. But usually that end always illuminates. If you're shining the light in there and like the majority of the egg, other than that one end, is like really, really dark and you can barely see anything else, right? That baby is really close to hatching, if not already due for its hatch. Okay? And in those cases, again, you know that there's a baby in there. It's really, really dark. Now, the darker the egg is, the less likely you're going to be able to see well within the egg. The lighter the egg, but most of the time geese lay white eggs, and a lot of ducks usually, well, most of the ducks you're going to find at like lakes and rivers and such in the U.S. pretty sure lay lighter colored eggs. Um, I'm not sure that we have any wild ducks that lay black eggs. There is a breed that lays black eggs that you can own on your farm, but um, that way you can establish whether or not those eggs have life, whether or not mama has started incubating them, and whether or not she should be back already, if there might be something wrong. And you can reach out to a rehabber and you can say, hey, something's not right. These eggs are mostly developed or further developed, and they look like they're a few weeks old, or I can see a little fetus the size of this or that bouncing around in there, right? Or there doesn't appear to be any development. And they can let you know. They'll tell you to leave them alone. They'll tell you uh, pack them up and bring them to me, or they'll tell you send me a screenshot um, with a pinpoint exactly on the location where you're at on Google Maps, so she can come get them or he can come get them. There's many different things that a rehabber may or may not tell you to do, depending on their space, the ability, what animal it is, whether or not it's endangered, whether or not it's protected or not, whether or not it's domestic or wild. Like there are many different things that they may instruct you to do. Okay, and but by doing that, you can prevent basically kidnapping an animal's babies that they are working really hard on trying to hatch. Hey Terry, I know, big boy. Teriyaki is gonna need to be euthanized. We've been working so hard on trying to fix his leg, but it just isn't happening. He's been going downhill, and it breaks my heart because I love this rooster. I know, Terry, I know. He just hasn't been. You go, Terry. I don't know if it's cancer or something, but he just, nothing's been working. We've gone through so many forms of treatment with him, and it just hasn't happened. Anyways, so yeah, like I said, there are many ways that you can prevent making a mistake of taking an animal from the wild when you really shouldn't. And like I said, it's important that you inform yourself whether or not this isn't a wild animal or not, because if it's a wild animal, as a not a domesticated breed, not a domesticated species, then it is illegal to take them from the wild, not just Canada geese, any animal. It's illegal to take them from the wild and keep them. Keep in mind the key is to take them and keep them, okay? Or to take them for no reason. Um, that's illegal. Um, if the animal's injured or in need of help or assistance, or is very sick or something, or is orphaned, and you genuinely believe that that is the case, and you take them in to take them to a local rehabber or a sanctuary or to a veterinarian, that is not illegal. But I'm just hoping that some of the stuff that I'm telling you guys can help someone out there who might, you know, be exposed to wildlife a lot more, or, you know, has an area where things like that happen to happen more often or something. And if so, I'm hoping this will help them kind of gauge whether or not an animal needs assistance or not, or whether or not, or what to do about it. I mean, in some areas, and even in the US here, you'll have wardens literally tell the civilians to either take care of it themselves or leave them alone, or have no rehabbers in their area, nobody in their county that will take a certain animal or any of these animals And they'll be told by the warden because they don't find a rehabber, so they call the local warden, and the warden will literally tell them, hey, I won't charge you if you're willing to raise it up or if you're willing to take care of them or something. It can happen. And then technically it's illegal, and you kind of have to gauge for yourself how you're going to like how you're going to manage that situation, right? Like how you're going to react to this situation, because you know they're basically leaving it up to you, but there's usually more than one warden in every county and every area district or whatever, and it's important to remember that you're taking on a risk. Just make an informed decision. That's basically what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying do it or don't do it. I'm saying make an informed decision. Inform yourself, do your research, understand what you'd be getting into, understand what potential consequences of your actions could be. Sorry for the frankly crackling over here. All right, finally got that darn piece of the gate removed. Yeah. If I reinforce this wood piece, I could totally use it as like a mini temporary coop for like chicks or something. Anyway, um, it's quite. You hot, Mama? You got your wing drooping. Look at her little self waddling around. And if y'all ever have any questions about Canada geese, um, especially about Canada geese, uh, y'all are welcome to post a comment or come on one of my lives or something and ask me about it. And if I know, then I will give you the answer. If I don't, like, I will give you the best answer that I have. Teriyaki, come on, get out. Get out, Bubba's. Thank you. Emma needs to close the door and move the trampoline. Sure, Bubba's. Thank you. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end this live now because I'm going to have to move the trampoline and y'all are going to end up just laying face down on the trampoline. So, like, and not see anything. So, which is going to be kind of pointless to have you guys just staring at nothing while I'm trying to schlep this thing across the yard. So, instead, I might come online again tonight. I hope this helps some people with breeding season coming around. Also, keep in mind, Canada geese aren't evil. They're not coming at you and attacking you because they just feel like it. They're doing it because they see you as a threat. They're doing it because they're becoming territorial and protective of their mates, of their nesting sites, of where their goslings, their babies are living, where their mate is sitting completely vulnerable, unable to protect herself because she'll sit on them eggs for literally a month, week, and unable to really protect herself the way that she would usually be able to. Look how cute. Bone sheep. They have white eyelids. Wait for it. See it? White eyelids. Isn't that cute? Look, white eyelids. Closed, open. Eye closed. See? Isn't that cute? Anyways, I had to show you guys real quick. Hey, Mischief, what you doing? What you doing, babies? Mm, 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 mm. Mm, mm. You can tell their voices are like kind of going back and forth between deeper and more high pitched, and the reason for that is because these guys are only about 5 months old. They are technically still goslings, right, Ducky? Wait, are you Ducky? Let me see. Yeah, you Ducky. Hi, Ducky. How's my Ducky doing? How's my Ducky doing? Hmm? Hi, Ducky, Ducky, Ducky. Anyways, as they get older, their voices actually get much deeper, and they don't have that like high pitched twirl anymore. It turns into a lower rumble. Aren't they beautiful though? Yes, babies. Hey, Ducky. Hi, Ducky. Hi, Ducky. The way I interact with my Canada geese, y'all, is because I raised them. So they see me as a parent, they see me as their mother, they see me as part of their gaggle, part of their flock. So please don't do this with a wild bird. I wouldn't do it with a wild Canada goose. I wouldn't touch a wild Canada goose. I would not go anywhere near a Canada goose that has goslings or that has a nest, because I know that they're going to protect those babies with their life. And in my opinion, they have every right to. Anyways, y'all have a wonderful night. Wait, wonderful day, not night. I'm so used to doing these live streams in the evenings. Y'all have a wonderful day, and we will see you guys next time. I hope you guys enjoyed today. I hope it helps a little bit with the breeding season coming up. And yeah, that's going to be it today. Alrighty. Bye. Thank you for stopping in, whoever hung out.